Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of OverVoice Season 3. Today I'm joined by the lovely John Whinfield. John, would you like to introduce yourself, my friend?
Where to begin?
Your name probably.
Hi, my name is John Whinfield, and I am a voice actor based in Canberra, Australia.
Come on.
Uh, Canberra, Canberra. Um, and I've been a voice actor for animation and video games, mostly for for the last 3 years, I'd probably say is
Hey,
the
nice.
generous time. I've been technically voice acting since 2018,
Ooh,
but only really dipped my toes into some really good stuff. I mean, not just that stuff I worked on wasn't good, but into the stuff that I wanted to work on, like animation and video games. I didn't really start scratching on until about 2021.
nah, fair enough. Yeah. Nah, base, that's
Yeah.
awesome, man. Lovely to have another fellow Aussie on here. I think you're the first Aussie male on the OverVoice interview series, so hell yeah. So
Oh
this
yeah.
fuck yeah. So my first question to you is, John, yeah, how did you get into voiceover and what's your journey been like so far? Because you mentioned you started out in 2018, which is actually when I started out. Um,
Mm.
so like, what's your journey been like, my dude?
It was it was very modest to start out with. 2018, I was in high school. I was 16 at the time when I started really dipping my toes into online voiceover, and it was very pedestrian level stuff. I remember my main way of trying to find gigs was searching up on YouTube voice actors wanted, because I never knew how all about Casting Call Club or Voice Acting Club or all these wonderful resources I've got access to now. Uh, but I landed my first gig through that method, with a client who I still work with today.
Nice.
Um, but I got paid not only to voice act, but also script editing stuff, because
Ooh,
I was an English student, so I dabbled in a bit of script work, and I offered to do some script editing because I mean I love I love Wolf Number Nine, the client in question, but the script formatting was a little bit messy by my standards, and I was obviously an English student, so I got really pedantic about it. But yeah, they were really cool about it, and obviously let me do that and paid me for my work. And yeah, I sort of gradually sort of found little jobs here and there. I discovered Casting Call Club somewhere down the line and got some cool stuff. And yeah, it's also like a very storied uh voiceover career, because I just fell off at some point between 2019 and 2020. I just sort of couldn't find the motivation. I wasn't really sure where to go with it.
no, that's fair.
And I was using a Blue Yeti microphone in like just an office with all the echoes that come with that.
Oh, bro,
Um
same.
yeah,
That's
it's where
insane.
everyone starts. But I stayed there for for a very long time. Right up until about like the end of 2023, I think, was when no, the end of 2022, before I got what I'm using right now, which is my condenser microphone.
Lovely.
Um, but I it's really he's gonna hate that I tell this story again, because he's probably sick of hearing about it. But in 2021, I discovered Gianni
Oh, I
Machagrano.
love Gianni. Hell yeah.
I love Gianni. Gianni's a really dear friend, but at the time, obviously, we did not know each other at all. I was 19. I was doing theater, and a friend of mine and I really got close, and we got like a really great like inside jokes out of Gianni's memes. And just seeing someone have fun with voiceover was what propelled me to sort of get back into it in a way. And that's when I landed my first animation gig, which was the short film Horned Cook Gola, by Adam Musa Othman. It was a student animated film, and it was my first proper animation role uh, in like an animated short film, and it was a really big deal for me to be able to pull myself up on the TV and watch something I'd done.
Hell yeah.
It was, and that's what got me going. Like I got to do this more. I got to do more of
Absolutely.
this. Um, and yeah, the rest is history. I'm still here looking for work.
Still here and killing it.
Yeah.
I would say, you know,
Oh, doing my best.
hell yeah. That must have been
Yeah.
awesome though, like having because I remember hearing my voice on the TV once, like that was just phenomenal. Like that was like ages ago. That was like no, that was 2022 actually. Yeah, it was. So like yeah, so
Hmm.
like when you got to hear yourself on the TV for the first time, like what was yeah, like what were you feeling like in the moment and like even now almost, I would say.
Well, I mean, I've still got like this like most voice actors have this, where they have this animosity to their own voice type of deal.
Yeah, that's fair.
And part of me was still feeling that, seeing that, like, oh, there's a slight echo that, like, again, that part was, I mean, not again, but like that part was recorded with the Blue Yeti. At least they had a boom arm and like a shock mount and all the uh, dings, bells, and whistles and all that. But it was like, but it just washed away when I sort of was looking at the art I had taken part in. I've never been like a big dream to voice in like a favorite sort of enterprise or property, because my dreams have always laid mostly in the indie,
Yeah, fair.
because that's some of the most profound art I've ever seen. Part of my inspiration for starting in the first place was probably when I saw that Has Been Hotel pilot way
Yeah.
back when. Um, just seeing what people could do without studio funding, with just everyone pitching in to make independent art. It's just a really cool thing to see, and you see it like all across the place when you know where to look for it.
Yeah, and it's bigger than
Um,
ever now. It's more popular than like really
yeah.
popular now, like with Digital Circus and Lackadaisy and like some of the other stuff as well, you know.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's so good to see such a big come up. Like, it's not just Husband Hotel now. It's the Amazing Digital Circus and Murder Drones and Lackadaisy and Ramshackle and so
Yeah.
many other things. I think it's Ramshackle. Yeah,
Yeah, Ramshackle, that's the one.
yeah, Ramshackle. And there's just so much of it, and not just in animation, but in games as well. Like the stuff New Blood's doing is just so terrific to see. It's
Yeah, and there's so many people
and
like making like visual novels left, right, and center like all the
yeah,
time. It's
visual novels
amazing.
as well. Yeah, it's just so good to be aware of it now. As someone who just used to pay attention to very little um culturally, like I just didn't really know about it as well as I do now. Um, and it's just been very special to not exactly be like a massive part of it, because obviously I haven't voiced in um, a superbly like large amount of it. But just seeing it happen right before your eyes, I feel very fortunate to be here and to
Hell
just
yeah.
sort of see it
That's a
happen.
that's really awesome, man.
Yeah,
My next question to you is because you live in Canberra, right? So that's the and for people who don't know, that's the capital of Australia. It's not Melbourne, it's not Sydney, it's Canberra. So what's living
yeah.
in Canberra like?
Um, well, Canberra's it's a city you can live in. Our our quality of life is quite nice. It's generally like just it's just chill. It's just like it's very inoffensive, very quiet. It's decidedly more quiet than Melbourne or Sydney. Those are places that I have been, and it's not as big bustling city life as it is in those two. In Canberra, it's a lot more
That's fair.
suburban, not suburban, more suburban, more like it's just a really nice, quiet place.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Which can be very nice for
yeah.
voiceover actually. So that's actually probably a
It
plus.
is, I mean, it is, but also, I live very close to a nature reserve,
Ooh,
which is like a big, basically, it's just a giant plot of land where, well, not really a giant plot of land, but like a giant fenced off area where it's just like animals are allowed to thrive here. And it's very cool um, for a lot of animals, but cockatoos like to flock outside of on the gates of my house, and screech their heads off sometimes at inopportune moments. Luckily, it's mostly in the morning, but
Not fair.
um, there has been a lot of nightly voiceover sessions that have been interrupted by these very rude visitors. Um,
No, I feel that. When I started out, there was like a lot of one of the native birds of New Zealand is called the pikiko, and they just fucking come around screeching all the time. They're laying the eggs like near a fucking garden, you know.
yeah,
So like when I started out, like it used to be such a huge pain in the ass to record because they were always there all the time just screeching, especially in the night, which is like the perfect time to record because everything's so quiet. But no, it's always them and fireworks for me. It's like
yeah. Oh yeah, fireworks we don't see much of anymore. There was like a couple years back. I think we had a couple fireworks throughout the year for some reason, but honestly, it's sort of died off. It's still just like a very quiet time. We do have one big problem that somehow finds its way to ruin voiceover, and that's if you pardon my French, dickhead drivers. Canberra
Yep.
is
Oh, you got those
renowned for
too.
having
You got those too.
Canberra is renowned for having dickhead drivers.
I'm so glad you have those
Um,
as well. Like New Zealand has ticket
yeah,
drivers too.
but we have the breed of dickhead driver that likes to have a really loud car engine and
Oh,
just
you mean boy
vroom
races?
across the suburb. Yeah,
Boy
yeah,
races? Yeah.
yeah. Boy races is that? Yeah, okay, that's a good name for them. I call them wang cars just because.
That's I've never heard that before. That's
Yeah,
actually more clever.
yeah, it's an English student thing. You wouldn't get it. No.
Wank cars.
But yeah, like sometimes a really loud car engine can ruin a really nice take,
Oh,
and
that's
it'll
frustrating,
do
man.
me it'll do me blocking something fierce, but it's never enough to be actively disturbing.
Oh, that's good.
Um, and yeah, it's just generally, for the most part, barring these minor interruptions, it's a quiet kind of town,
Hell yeah.
and that's what we like.
You mentioned suburban before, and speaking of suburban, or should I say suburbia, you got to participate in American Idiot Broadway musical. And the thing is, I am a huge fan of Green Day, so of course I'm gonna ask this question. So,
Yeah,
like,
go for it.
what's your experience been like, man? Like, how's it feel living my dream?
So we did an amateur production, a community theater production of American Idiot, and we closed 2 days ago on
Nice.
Saturday. um yeah, it was probably the most vocally demanding show I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
It's very good to do those because, like, as a voice actor, it's very important to be aware of vocal health. It's something that a lot of voice actors, especially early on, do not pay attention to, and they probably should. I've given this tip to a lot of, I mean, to the few beginner voice actors who've asked me about getting into it, and it's just vocal health is paramount, and there is nothing that'll test you like this show. I played the role of Johnny, which was obviously the big lead role for this show. Sings a majority of the songs.
Yeah.
I had to learn guitar. That was a nightmare because
Oh,
I am not very talented instrumentally whatsoever. So learning two songs on the guitar roughly well in like 3 months before we had to go on was a bit of a hurdle, but it was a fun challenge. And I always like to adopt this mindset whenever I'm cast as a character that needs to do something that I am not familiar with, that if we can do it for real, we'll do it for real. I did the same last year when I did a production of Footloose.
oh, hell yeah.
My character had to break dance. And so I locked myself in a room with a mate and he taught me how to break dance. But we did this.
can you still breakdance?
Not like, I mean, I can still pull off that one move I learned for the show. Um, but like in general, probably not.
Not fair. Fair enough.
Guitar wise, I'm probably going to keep that skill for as long as it remains fresh.
Hell yeah.
But I'm not actively going to try and play that instrument again because it's just not my thing.
That's fair.
Um,
What songs did you have to learn on the guitar?
I had to learn Boulevard of Broken Dreams and When It's Time.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, good, very very good songs.
Boulevard's a very easy one because it's mostly
Yeah,
just the chords. So there's like 8 chords, four of them in the four of them in the verses, and then another four in the chorus.
yeah. A lot of criticism Green Day gets is like it's always the same chords, but it is. But like they mix it
Yeah,
around and it's good. I promise.
but also like I don't mind because it made it so much easier. When its time was a little bit more difficult because that was finger picking,
Mm,
so it wasn't all just chords like the official song will trick you into thinking. The version in the show is like very finger picky, then into chords, then finger picky, then chords, and it breaks between the two different styles of play. And it was a very like it was a very scary song to
yeah.
learn because you have to be very because it's in a very quiet moment in the show as well. So if you fuck it up, everyone's
Oh,
going to hear it.
yeah.
I taught myself how to do that one in a day
Oh, nice.
because we hadn't looked at it. We were 2 weeks from open. The person playing What's Her Name is a had a history in country singing with the guitar. So I just got them and said, okay, can you just teach me this song? Teach me the rest of this song. And we finished it in like a day. And from then on, we just kept practicing and practicing and practicing
Oh,
until we
solid.
opened. And we managed to I managed to play the song with minimal bugger ups
Oh, that's
throughout
good.
the run. Um, but yeah, uh, so yeah, aside from the guitar, singing, and also just in general the lines, the voice of that character, because I like to bring my voiceover quite a bit over to theater in terms of transforming my voice into to help sort of differentiate between the different characters you do. And Johnny is a loud motherfucker. He
Oh
is
yeah,
so shouty all the time, and obviously you've got to own a theater. Like in a booth, you can sort of modulate
yeah.
your volume so you're not like screaming all the time
No,
unless
you
the
gotta
script
project like
calls it.
all the time in the theater.
Yeah, even when you're mic'd up and stuff, it's
Yeah.
the mic only puts out what you put into it, as our mic tech kept saying. Because she needed us to be loud so that she could put our loudness against the band, and
Not fair.
it's all about volume with that show, and it
Yeah.
was definitely like a really refreshing challenge to get.
Hell yeah.
Um, I'm not eager to do it again, but
Hey, if you don't want to do it,
um,
I'll do it. I'm
yeah, you
game.
know what, Vicky, I'll get them to give you a call. I'll fly you
Hell
out.
yeah. Please. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd love to, man. But yeah, like did you because I'm assuming you knew of Green Day before, doing the show, right?
I knew of them, but not very much. I was
Yeah.
of the main three guys, I was the only one who didn't grow up listening to Green Day.
Not fair.
I discovered them much later. When I was it was actually when I was looking for audition material for Jersey Boys when I discovered the show, because they were like, I was looking at a page, it was like suggested monologues from these parts, and Johnny was one of the suggested parts for some reason, because I guess they're both jukeboxy musicals. They're just
Yeah.
musicals with songs from elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I sort of discovered it around then, read up on it a bit, and then got distracted by auditions, and then didn't worry about it again until it came around when it got announced back in 2023. Um, but yeah, didn't really know much about Green Day. Uh, I didn't really look too much into them when I got the part. I mostly just focused on the musical tracks themselves because I knew they were quite different. There were some different keys shuffled around.
Yeah.
Tom Kitt's arrangement is much different to what the actual songs sound like, and yeah, it's just sort of like, but it was fun to sort of to learn more about their music, at least. I know I've got one or two new favorite songs as a result. I really
Hell
love
yeah.
Letterbomb.
Oh, Little Bomb's great. Hell yeah.
Letterbomb is so good. Yeah.
I was gonna say like after doing the show for like how long were you performing for? Was it, like a week?
Oh, just 2 weeks, a two
Yeah.
week run,
You're like
5 nights a week. Yeah.
yeah, after doing like the show, pretty much just doing Green Day songs like the entire time you're on stage. Like do you have do you reckon you'll listen to more Green Day or like I've had enough? Stop, please.
I mean, I'll probably have enough for about a month or two, but
That's fair.
I'll throw a track or two into my playlist for
Hell yeah.
sure down the line when I'm tired of something else.
Hell yeah. I mean, if you ever listen to like their older stuff, I would totally recommend like Dookie. Oh man, that album is great.
Yeah, my partner was recommending me another album. I can't remember what it's called though, but she's a very big Green Day fan, so
Hell yeah. You should listen
definitely.
to her. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm listening to her, so
You should-
I don't have much choice. She's holding me at gunpoint.
but yeah,
Yeah.
like you mentioned Little Bomb being one of your favorites, but like what were other some of your favorite songs, during the show's run?
Oh, what's her name is just a
Yeah.
really good one. Um,
That's the last song of the show, right? I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Other than Good Riddance, but that's post
Oh yeah.
Bowers, so like, does it really count?
Yeah.
Uh,
Plus Good Riddance is like from another album. It doesn't count.
yeah,
It's okay.
Holiday's a classic. Like,
Yeah.
that's just one I've always loved. Um, like when I first heard of it. Because I'm not a big bands guy. I'm a big songs guy. Like I
Nah, that's
hear
fair.
an individual song, I'm like, oh, that's going in the vibes playlist.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just like a it's
I'm
like a
so
very
I'm so bad at
yeah,
creating playlists. I just have one playlist that has like fucking everything, and like I want to see
yeah.
how much longer I can have. Because right now it's sitting at like 70 hours of music. So like I want to get to 100 at some point.
I have to like divide, like I have to draw a line somewhere in regards to sort of classical jazz type stuff, like your Sinatras and your Dean Martins and stuff, and then the more rock oriented stuff I listen to. Because I've got a very diverse palette when it comes to music.
That's
I
fair.
like a bit of it all.
I like to keep all the music in one place because it makes me just genuinely surprised, right? Because you can go from like I don't know, you can go from like Bohemian Rhapsody to Party Rock by the Chipmunks, like just like that. you know?
That's yeah. I wouldn't say mine's that diverse, but it is but it's got some like it's got some different genres mixed in there and that genres, whatever however you pronounce it. I know I'm pronouncing something wrong all the time, but there's like some nice, as long as like the tunes complement each other in my ears, I really don't give a toss.
Yeah.
So I just sort of throw things together.
Hell yeah. And
But
I
yeah.
got I got to ask this question as well. This is like not voiceover related at all. To be fair, neither was the last question. But like for this one, since you're Australian brethren, I gotta ask, what's your favorite pie?
Oh Christ, man, that's a good fucking that's a good fucking question, mate. I gotta say, pepper steak pie is just so fucking
Oh,
easy.
good
So
answer.
easy for
Good
me.
answer.
But as long as it's got steak in it, I'm pretty much sold. Steak or chicken. Like I'm
Oh,
just such a
I've never had a chicken pie before. I've just gone
You've
for the
never had a
meat.
chicken pie.
No, I've had fish,
Brother,
I've had meats, like beef. I've never had chicken pie.
brother, you gotta change that. Chicken pies will change your life.
Oh, good. I'll have to go nearest
Yeah.
fucking dairy and just get one.
Yeah. Smash one with a dare and you're good, mate.
Yeah, man. I'm a bit basic. I like me the mince and cheese. I'm very
Mm,
easy to please. But steak, if I'm feeling a bit frisky, fancy today, I'll grab a steak, but pie or something.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Fish-
I'm very simple when it comes to my stuff as well. But like pepper steak pie is just so good
Yeah,
because like
I had a
yeah.
pork belly pie once. That was so good. God damn,
Oh
that was
yeah,
so nice. Like
yeah.
I would,
I'm like sort of very impartial about pork and stuff. It's all
yeah,
because I just love beef on
yeah.
pies. It's just so good.
That's fair. That's fair to be honest. But
Mm,
yeah. My next question to you is, you got to work on Fallen Aces. So like, what was
yeah.
I won't like obviously don't break NDA and stuff. But like,
Oh,
but when it
I have
came,
not. I
but when
have
you,
not signed a damn thing for that game,
oh yeah,
but
well it's good.
I'm very oriented on the sort of like I don't want to spoil anything for you, but even
Yeah,
then, there's nothing really to spoil at the
yeah.
moment. I'm just as caught up as you guys are in terms of content I've worked on for the game.
Yeah, but
Um,
I was gonna ask like, what
yeah.
was it like just working on the game and when it released, having like that positive, support,
um, it's still sort of surreal because I remember back when I went on my first indie game rabbit hole when I first sort of because I saw G-Man Live's video on Turbo Overkill, and it sort of sent me into an indie shooter spiral.
Yeah.
Um, and Fallen Aces was one of the games I saw the trailer for back in 2022. I think it was like very early 2022, and I was like, oh, I want to work on stuff like that. That stuff's cool. Um, and then after that, I just sort of like fluffed around, cold calling devs all over the place, obviously not
Yeah.
yielding many results. Um, and then I was bored one afternoon, and I made and I remember Fallen Aces. At the time, I was on my New Blood craze because I'd a lot of people know me from my Ultra Kill memes because I can do a very passable Gabriel impression. Hello again, Gianni. Uh, but I remember seeing like Fallen Aces. I'm like, well, there's not much fan stuff for Fallen Aces yet. Let's just make something for it, you know? Because
Yeah.
it's such a cool era. It's like a 1930s prohibition sort of American. I mean, and um, and so I made a radio show because that's all I knew how to do. I didn't know how to do art. I didn't know how to video edit very well. So I was like, I could do sound editing very passably. Let's just make a really rough concept for a radio program that would play in this kind of universe. Something like Mr. New Vegas from Fallout, but for a very gangster-esque city. And the name Al Sweetman is it's really funny. That's a friend of my parents, Al Sweetman.
Oh, hell yeah.
And he's got such a cool name that I just used it offhandedly, not thinking it would go anywhere.
Does he know about it?
Oh, he does know about it now, and he apparently it is the third character in fiction named after him.
What?
There's apparently two Al Sweetmans out there in a pair of books.
Oh my god.
Um, but apparently he's very used to it. Anyway, I remember posting I obviously wrote like a very rough sort of like some very generic stories about how crime in the city is causing businesses to go bust. There's a couple of there's a bit of trouble happening at the moment, and there was some commotion at the Morthen Flame, which is if people who played the Fallen Aces demo remember, was the nightclub Mike broke into. Um, but and caused some commotion within. And so we sort of just tied a game event in there just because, you know, it's a fun thing. So I posted that. Did not think I would did not think any more of it because, you know, I just post stuff and sort of be like, all right, that's done. Now what do I do with my free time next? And then Trey Powell, one of the two lead developers of that game, tagged me on Twitter and said, want a job?
Hell yeah.
And I thought he was kidding for a bit because I obviously, you know, I didn't get chased up about it. And then I posted in the New Blood Discord. And obviously people were responding quite positively there because that's a very New Blood centric place. Not all my followers care. Not all my followers care about New Blood stuff, but that server definitely does. So I posted in the Fallen Aces channel, and I obviously said like, and I said in the channel like, I appreciate that everyone's liking it, but just remember this isn't official or anything. I'm just some idiot with free time. And then Trey said it is now, and I messaged him saying, "Sorry, are you serious?" And he said, "Yep, just checking with Dave Oshry." Never in my life had I been so nervous. Like I'm being considered for a job right now. And then I got told I was hired.
Nice.
So Fallen Ace. So now that lengthy origin story that took up like roughly 5 minutes of your time has been
Don't
over and
worry,
done
man.
with, let's talk about working on the game. I got to write all of my own dialogue for the most part.
Nice.
There was a lot of intervals where Trey was sort of like, I need you to talk about this plot point and this plot point in this break. Otherwise, like, and if there's more time you need to fill, go ham. So there's obviously like lots of opportunities to insert inside jokes here and there or references to fun stuff. And obviously it's never meant for anyone other than me to know what any of it means. It just sounds like very fun world building. here and there outside of the plot stuff, just to sort of give it meat on the bones. So it's not just like a method of just talking about just talk about the plot. There's a bit of padding I'm allowed to do, or I was allowed to do when I was writing the scripts, which was which is obviously very fun. Most of the time I was given I was prompted, especially in the later two levels, level 3 and level 5. Those were just like completely, because there was so much plot at that point. Um uh Trey was just like, I've got this giant list of plot things I need you to talk about. So obviously there wasn't as much wiggle room. Um, but I still got to get the plot points and sort of deliver them in such a way as they felt natural, and it wasn't just like throwing plot at the player for the sake of it. There's still like a sizable amount of personality there.
Hell yeah, that's good to hear.
Um, and I think the most fun I had, but also the most annoyed I was doing the radio ads, because the method of doing that is very unorthodox, because I'm a very precise timing kind of guy. I'm all about things sounding like they're paced very well, timed very well. The radio ads always had to be at least like about a minute long, no longer than that. They had to crap on a bit, because radio ads had to crap on a bit because they didn't have the visual element at play.
That's fair.
They were radio ads. They had to talk you into buying products. Um, and so obviously there's that really great challenge in making 1 minute sort of self-contained ads for fictional products that help flesh out the world. And but however, the music library that Trey provided me to work with had a bunch of 3 minute long songs. So the process would often go, I would find a song, I would keep cutting at it until it was like 1 minute long jig, mostly like remove the vocals in general, and then just like keep sort of a nice little instrumental foreground that fit the vibes of the rest of the stuff I'd made at that point. Um, and then I'd have to sort of write the script in tandem with the song so that it sounded well timed, so that it sounded intended, because I didn't want to just like cut off a song when the ad was done. I think I did that once for the Mickey Roswell ad, because that was meant to be a Better Call Saul ripoff. so so it's like so it was meant to sound like sort of haphazard and goofy. But I think even that one ended up sounding all right in terms of timing. But timing wise, like writing the scripts to the songs, recording again, it was very like it was almost choreographed, preparing that stuff. And it was just it's such a fun challenge that I'd made for myself here, that it genuinely became one of my favorite parts of the job. Um yeah. Yeah, it's like
Hell
it's
yeah.
not much to elaborate on other than that, but I do recall, but also Al Sweetman recording as well. I haven't quite touched on that. Probably one of the harder voices I've had to do, because I set myself up really poorly and did like a "you're listening to Locale with Al," and obviously that's right at the back of your throat. And vocal health wise, placing a voice back there, not a good
Yeah.
idea. Luckily, I never had to really record him in bulk
Okay, that's good.
until I got to level 3 and 5. Their stuff, because somewhere in development we just sort of like didn't quite figure out what we were talking to each other about, and so Trey was just it ended up being a sort of rush to get it into the game before launch. So I had to record all both levels worth of Al Sweetman dialogue in as short a session as possible, because I wanted to keep it like I wanted to keep the time spent very low.
Yeah.
And it was probably it was a tumultuous process. but it was very rewarding as well. Like it was still fun. I was still having fun with it. Um, and yeah, I guess like my experience has been like it's been also been a good lesson in terms of not setting yourself up with a voice that's going to hurt.
Mm,
Like our sweetman is something I'm learning to do without hurting myself. It's not going to be like an active hindrance to me or anything. It's not like a actively bad thing, but it's a good lesson to learn.
yeah, just
And
gotta
so I suppose
take care
that's
of
like,
yourself. Yeah,
yeah, to take care of yourself. And it's been very valuable learning experience as well as a very fulfilling voiceover experience as well. Because getting to work with New Blood is like it's been a bucket list item for a couple of years now.
hell yeah.
So just getting that out of the way, it's like I feel like I'm sort of doing side quests now.
Fair enough. Alrighty, John, I have one more question for you, my friend. Because you mentioned a bit ago that you kind of want to continue staying in the indie scene. So I'm just curious, like, do you have any like specific goals you have in mind in terms of like where you want to be in the future? You know?
Um, I mean, I guess I just want to help indie artists and indie game devs with their art. Just like being a part of it is being a part of cool stuff is really just enough to get me going. It's really just that simple and sort of in that sense. Like when people like have their big ideals for like other properties and stuff, I have that, but for indie stuff that I'm very interested in, like like Lackadaisy is really fucking cool. I'd love to voice something in that.
Hell yeah.
Like I'd scream as a background extra if called upon.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, but like and the stuff Glitch is doing is really cool.
Mm.
If they ever have an opening somewhere for some dickhead like me, I'd love to be a part of it. But like um there's a lot of cool stuff all over the place. And all I really do is just like make myself available, like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And
Hello.
I'm very sort of driven to just keep that up.
Hell yeah. I actually
Yeah.
lied to you. I have another question for you as well. So, do you have any pieces of advice for voice actors who are starting out or voice actors who are currently in their journey? I'm very interested to know.
Um ooh, I think what's been keeping me personally very invested in this as like a career is passion. You've got to love what you do. Um, I stopped doing purely volunteer work roughly a year ago when it's just got to a point. I think the point for me was Fallout London.
Mm.
Doing volunteer work for Fallout London, it was obviously like very fulfilling experience getting to voice a proper video game mod like that, where it was just so well thought out, well written. But it was excessively long. Like there was so many lines, and it was not
Mm.
a paid gig. And like that's fine. If you're front up about being a volunteer project, that's awesome. Um, but also like I probably wouldn't do that to myself again in terms of like the work that was involved in recording for that mod.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, if someone had come up to me and told me to do that work now, without me having agreed to anything, I would have said, bugger off. It's like, I love the work, but also I've got to make sure that the work I am providing, like it is work. As much as
Yeah.
it's fun, it's work. And it's work that must be like, it's work that must be sort of made back in some sort of way.
Yeah. There's got to
So
be
like,
like some form of
yeah,
compensation, I guess. If that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, whether it's like being a part of something you're personally fulfilled by. I'm not personally a massive fan of Fallout mods in general. Like I like one of the games from that series. I'm not a massive fan. So like I just sort of joined that as a sort of like it's an opportunity to do something new.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do that again because like I've done something new now. And I've done quite a
Fair
bit.
enough.
I suppose it's the same mindset I have to the theater. If you're going to rock up to an audition, think about what you're getting if you get cast, and then think, is this worth what I am going to be putting into it?
Mm,
Read the lines, read them in that voice out loud. Is that voice tenable for the price they are offering for it? And if it isn't, don't do it. You
yeah.
will burn yourself out real quick. Um, I got massive burnout as a result. Now I take it a lot more casually, sort of whenever I'm called upon. Um, I'm sort of a very lazy voice actor. I don't seek out auditions, but if you're one that seeks out auditions actively, it's good to have that mindset because it's good for me as someone who's very lazy to keep myself in check. I think that is exact like that need to keep yourself in check and make sure what work you're putting out there is tenable is exacerbated by like 10
Yeah.
times over
I don't
when
think it.
you
I don't think it's lazy to keep yourself in check at all, personally, because
mm,
like because I will admit I definitely have been like Americanized to keep on the hustle all the time. And
yeah
I burnt out a little bit during March, so I gave myself a break for like a month, and I came back in May. But yeah, honestly,
mm,
being able to identify and keep yourself in check is a very valuable thing to do. So I'm actually
mm.
genuinely proud of you for doing that because
Oh
I did it when I was almost too late, So
yeah
thankfully, when I feel it's been a month since, so it's like it's been a while, so I don't feel that way anymore. But I've definitely been
yeah
able to like take some breaks and sleep and do other things I want to do. You know, so being kind of
yeah
keeping yourself accountable and making sure you're healthy and you know all good first and foremost really comes. So don't put you can hustle, but don't put everything into the hustle. That makes sense.
yeah it's you've got to remember that voice acting is so goddamn competitive. Everyone
Mm,
has a voice. Some people choose to use it for voiceover, but that's still a very large pool. um and there's always competition. It's like, again, like the theater, it's always great to go into something thinking that there is one person who's probably better than you, because there most definitely is.
yeah,
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try at all, because that one person who's better than you might not even be there. But it's helpful to manage expectations, especially with stuff like this, because your idea of a character might be very different to how the creative views it.
yeah,
You do your audition, you record, you're like, that sounds perfect. That voice matches that visual. I'm in. I'm in. This is great. And it's good to manage expectations, not just for the as like a separate piece of advice, but also just adding to what I've been saying about like keeping yourself in check, because excitement leads to destroyed expectations, which
yeah,
leads to demotivation, and that will demotivate you like nothing else.
yeah.
Send and forget is a tried and true
Yes.
tactic. Do
Yes,
it.
for real.
I do it all the time. I've sended and forgotten so many auditions. Like 90% of the ones I've sent out the door, never heard back from again. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'm cool with that, because I've heard back 10% of the time, which is better than nothing.
Yeah. It's interesting because like it's only been like one thing I I wanted to hear back from. And like that's and I've only done that once. Like I wanted to get this role. I sent an audition out. I got the role and I was like, okay, but I never do that for anything else again. Cause I'm like, God damn it, man.
Yeah, I've actually had that as well. Like, I've had stuff that I've sent off and been like, okay, I really need to know how that one went. Because like sometimes when you like, I think you're allowed a cheeky little
Yeah,
send and don't forget, just because sometimes you record that audition that's so good that you need to have a bit of faith in it as well
yeah,
to get it through
there's
the door.
because when you get to audition for characters, like for that moment when you're auditioning and doing the work, you are that character for a little bit, you know?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. And it feels sublime when you
Yeah,
believe in an audition and then you hear back and it's in the affirmative. It's
yeah,
so good. Um, but yeah, I'm so when I call myself a lazy voice actor, it's not because of keeping myself in check that's lazy. It's the determination to audition.
yeah. That's fair.
I have been very lucky in a sense that lots of my proper gigs have fallen on my lap out of nowhere. Um,
It's
Indie
the
devs
one.
I've worked with
It's the ones
talk
you
with
least
each other.
expect, eh? Like
Yeah,
when you don't chase it, like it comes to you. It's weird. but like it's kind of true though.
Yeah. And like obviously not all of the opportunities work out in the end.
Yeah,
And stuff like some of the stuff that's fallen on my lap is like stuff that didn't work out, but I'm happy it happened, you know?
yeah,
Like getting an audition for there was an audition I got a while back in like early 2023. I can't even like, and it was for a character in a very popular piece of media, and obviously I didn't get it at all. But the fact that they even got me to do a callback recording was like,
yeah,
wow, I'm really in this.
yeah,
And it was like it's superb to get that feeling of progression based on just like auditions you're offered. So I guess that's my final piece of advice as well,
yeah,
is what I'm getting at here. Is my final piece of advice is celebrate the small victories, because getting a role is not the only victory you can get in voiceover.
mm,
It's being offered to audition with something like really cool. It's meeting a new voice actor who's given you some wonderful advice, making new friends, getting cast is a great reward, but also getting to meet new creatives, new people. It's all so rewarding in so many ways, but people are always hung up on roles. And I haven't got like a shit ton of roles. I've got roughly a handful of really good roles, but like I can count them on two hands, and
yeah.
that doesn't matter because that's not how I win.
I mean,
Personal
having
validation,
having roles you can count in two hands is pretty cool. To be
yeah,
fair,
yeah. uh, but like personal validation is the real thing in VO,
yeah,
because obviously with AI on the horizon,
yeah,
and all the ways this industry is getting trodden into the dirt at the moment, it's very rough to aspire for like the likes of Steve Bloom or like, mainstream voice actors that get work out the wazoo, because it's not tenable anymore. It's a different time.
yeah,
And that's why if you're getting into this, get into it for the career if you like. But what's going to really see you through is self-validation.
for
As
real.
long as you're loving it, as long as you're not seeing it as a hustle, 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 as long as you're seeing it as I've got to do this because I want this for me, then I think it's superbly possible to go far.
Absolutely.
And it's working very fucking well for me, I will say.
Hell yeah, do it because you love it, man. And it's
Yeah.
definitely good to have ambitions, right? But like, don't let your ambitions like overtake your entire personality. So like, if you don't get like this one thing, it won't like demotivate you or make you like miserable.
Mm.
Like it's good to have
Well, yeah.
ambitions, but like but don't treat it as like the end all be all. There's always the work's not going anywhere, and neither are you. So just keep
Yeah.
going, and if you keep loving it, at some point things will work out. Like I've been
Absolutely.
like me and you have been doing this for like nearly 7 years now. Like we both understand
Yeah.
that quite well.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah. It's yeah. I guess like you're not defined as a voice actor by your failures, but by your victories, because those are the things you advertise yourself with.
yeah,
I'm not marked because I didn't get into one cool thing one time. I'm marked as the guy who's in Fallen Aces, the guy who's in Magenta Horizon, the guy who's in Horned Cook Gola, Fallout London, all the Tin and Poncho, like all these cool indie things that many people probably won't even have heard of for the most part. But you're in them.
hell yeah.
You've got things to your name. Your name is in credits somewhere.
Yeah,
And that's all you need.
that's a much better reputation than being the JoJo Pose guy for the whole year.
Yeah.
I miss
Well,
doing that. That was like, oh my god, that's nearly 3 years ago. God damn. Wow.
yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'm gonna do that again, but like it was a lot of fun. I just did it because I was in uni, I was bored.
Mm.
But
Or you could be the Ultra Kill Fruit Loops guy. That's me.
oh hell yeah, I would love to do
to
fruit.
I put out that bloody how did you learn about this person post, and like 90% of the comments are just I saw your ultra kill meme about Fruit Loops, a thing I do not actively think about at all in my life, and it's like, yeah, it's so good, but like, yeah, people will notice.
Yeah,
People will notice you. Your voice will get heard. It's voiceover. It's
yeah.
inevitable.
It'll be when you least expect it. So just keep making stuff.
Oh
And
yeah, it
yeah,
will be when you least expect it. Yeah, I will like I will obviously be elaborating on this like much later into the future, but you do not expect the things that fall on into your lap. You
yeah.
never do.
Hell yeah. And on that amazing note, this interview comes to a close. John, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. I gotta ask, do you have any voice actors that you would like to personally see in the OverVoice hot seat next?
Oh God, gotta get Gianni.
See, I asked Gianni actually, but he said he politely declined, so I'm gonna respect his
I'm gonna have
wishes.
to. I'm
But
gonna have to kill him. No, no. In which case, I guess I would. I mean, my next obviously would be Wes Wiggins, Funny Wes.
ooh, ooh, true.
Uh, and also, sorry, can I make two more requests as well?
Of course you can, go for it.
Uh, I love me some Zane Shacht. Zane is
Mm.
awesome. And Gangleman, E.G.
Ooh.
Simmons,
Oh,
Gangleman VO.
I know all those guys. Hell yeah. I'll see if I can
Yeah,
get them for either this season or season 4 or beyond, but what to see. But yeah,
yeah, they're
John,
lovely.
where can people find you on social media, or if you want to promote anything that's coming up that's already out or anything? I'll put it all in the description when this episode comes out.
Well, things coming out at the moment. Not much in the VO ballpark at the moment. I've been a bit busy with other stuff,
Hell
but
yeah.
I've got some stuff cooking. I'll be back soon enough. There's some auditions I'll send out this week. But socials wise, Jack Vox is where you can find me. JAK Vox, pretty much anywhere. I don't think there's a single social I have that's not either my name or that tag.
Hell yeah.
I can be found mostly on, I think the only places you'd really want to find me are YouTube and Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to use anything else too
I'll
much. I
I'll
have an
also
Instagram.
yeah. I'll also link your voiceover website as well. People want to contact you directly for work and stuff. So
I do
yeah.
not have a website yet.
Oh, what about your email? Can I put your email in the description?
You can put my email in the description, sure.
Awesome. Sounds good. I'll have to get that from
Yeah.
you later. But yeah, John,
I'm working on it, but yeah.
hey, no worries, man. Take your time. It's I only made my website like last year.
Yeah.
So like I
That's my
get
last
it.
piece of advice. Make a website. Don't be like me. Make a
Yes,
website.
and don't be like me either. I built it last year. Okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
again, thank you so much for coming on. You've been an absolute pleasure to have on. And yeah, I'll see you guys all for the next interview. Bye bye, everybody.